Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the latest hero in Epic 7, Ivana. She's got an interesting skill kit. I think her main job at a high level is dealing with immortality units. If we look at her S2, this is kind of the selling point of her kit. She's immune to combat decrease, meaning she can't be pushed back to things like Zeo, Steve Poly, um, and any other CR pusher. And the big thing is when she gets um, a turn, she basically dispels immortality from enemies, ignores ER, which is super nice, which means it's guaranteed, very similar to Veronica. And at the end of someone's turn, if the enemy has immortality, it's going to give your team an undispellable buff that's 50% damage reduction. Dispel all of your debuffs on your allies, and it's also going to push her up 50%. So realistically, you're going to be using this primarily against, I think, MLDN. That's who she's kind of built a hard counter. Because first MLDN, usually the enemy team has an opener that's going to soul burn. Um, DN pushes 50%, so ideally your Ivana is faster than a typical MLDN. Um, and then you're going to basically shrug off any debuffs. You're going to give yourself this big damage reduction, the cleanse, and hopefully you steal a turn from the DN. Her S3 is going to be a 2 debuff cleanse on your team. And it's going to give you this unique debuff called Ignore Sharing. So this basically ignores damage share, things like Aureus, um, Escort, even Estelle's passive. So this can kind of be used in an aggro situation. And then it's also going to boost your team 30%, which is a lot of CR. And it's also going to give you 2-turn immunity. So I think I mentioned before versus DN. Um, Usually DN is going to be wanting to press her S3 to seal your team right after. But with this, if you steal a turn from her and you press S3, you're going to be immune to any of that pushback and the seal. So it's kind of a hard counter to DN, in my opinion, assuming you take the turn. Her S1 is kind of negligible, it's just a heal. Um, so in terms of build, this is what I'm using today. So I'm about 280 speed. Um, you generally want some form of high ER because when you pair it with her artifact, she basically needs to not have a debuff in order to get an extra 20 CR push. So, in an ideal circumstance, you're going to be getting 70% CR from her artifact plus her passive. So 70%, you're basically guaranteed to cut any MLDN. Um, but it's important to not get debuffed if you're relying on this. You can use a lot of different artifacts on her. I personally just have this for now. Um, yeah, that's kind of her main role. I know some people have tried to use her in aggro for RTA, but I don't think she offers quite enough. I don't think the ignore sharing immunity and 30 CR is enough. I think this is kind of the core of her kit, so you shouldn't be picking this unit unless you're fighting MLDN, or I guess you can make a case for Lady of the Scales. Um, Maybe ML Celine, but for the most part, I think it's going to be primarily MLDN. So yeah, overall, I think she's good in her niche. I think if you're an RTA player, she's a must pull. Otherwise, you're gonna get run over by things like MLDN. And in terms of like RTA drafting, I've had a lot of success with her, picking her as a 4 or 5 slot. So I can show a couple quick examples here. Um, so in this game, uh, my opponent chose MLDN on 3. Since I have a 4/5 pick, I'm picking 2 anti-immortality units. This way I can essentially cut this unit, and his whole draft kind of falls apart. So Ivana served her job here. She's going to be cutting, and then Veronica also is cutting. So this unit is just kind of hard countered, and it's the core of his draft. So I ended up winning. Another example here. In this draft, again, there's an MLDN who starts the game with immortality, and also when her teammate soul burns, she's going to get more immortality. I think pairing her with Veronica on 4-5 is what most people will be doing in RTA to be effective. She's essentially a must ban. If you don't ban her, he's going to take the turn, dispel the immortality, push up the rest of your team, and it's kind of like a reverse cleave. So overall, I think she's a super strong unit. I do recommend, if you're interested in RTA, to pick Ivana up, since she's kind of a core anti-immortality unit. Yeah, that's it. Definitely recommend getting one copy, and yeah, look forward to future units.